live. Let's see, did I get an alert on my phone? A silent alert. I remembered to mute it this time. This time, let's take a look. Not that. Hold on. It says it's live, so I know there's a bit of a delay. I know that. I just like to see at least one of my emails come through. Although, there it is. I was going to say, sometimes those are delayed by a couple minutes, so I can't even really count on that. Okay, let's hit enter. And enter, and enter, and enter. I actually went ahead and preloaded everything this time, which I sometimes remember to do. I don't always remember to do it, but I did in this case. So I'm going to go ahead and luckily I don't have to do it. Okay, done. That one's done. Let's close that out. And let's go to here and we'll hit the share button. Oh, I just have to put it in one other place. There's always the one other place I forget. Which fortunately is only one place now instead of having to go multiple places since I've completely given up on Twitter. That's easy. I don't care. So I'm actually very happy I don't have to worry about that anymore. Copy text and post it to Blue Sky because I like Blue Sky. I still like Blue Sky, shockingly. It has stayed pretty good. So yeah, this is a Tuesday night stream because yesterday, well, two reasons. Normally I've been streaming on Mondays, and I would have streamed yesterday. However, oh, geez, that was weird. Did that actually go through? I saw a weird flash on the screen. Hold on, did it actually go through? Let's see. Hold on, I'm just checking. This thing is so weird. I don't know whether, oh, it did. Okay, good. Just didn't show up. Fine, whatever, I don't care. All right, close that. So, all right, now I have to check the social stream thing. Let's see if it's not yet. It takes a minute. But anyway, I was intending to stream yesterday, but as it turned out, I was able to, two things. One, I had somebody commission a artist proof for one of my Magic cards, and I had to get the line work going on that. Now, the nice part, there's a good and bad side to how I do Magic cards. Still waiting. I use pens that are called Copic, C-O-P-I-C. I'm sure I've mentioned them before. And these are, I think they're alcohol-based pens, but really, really nice drawing pens. Although we'll get that in a minute. So anyway, I use these pens, and while I love using them and while they allow me to do the small scale work, they do not dry. The backs of these artists, these Magic cards, are so strange because they feel like they're really only made to be painted on. They don't take ink very well. So I'm sure it's just the coating they use on it. It's probably just a universal coating that they use on all their cards. And so it doesn't, there we go. Live thing just popped up. So let's switch that to live chat. Sorry, I'm just working in the background here. And we can go ahead and hit the button there, and I think we're good. So let's go ahead and roll the opening there. And I assume, oh, you know what? I just realized I don't know if I actually selected the reflector window. I probably didn't. So you're going to see nothing for a minute. Sorry, I didn't realize I hadn't selected this already. It's so odd it doesn't remember these things. There we go. There's the iPad back. And then the social stream, I don't know if I selected that either. I got caught up in what I was saying. But I can do two things at once. Actually, let me check. Let me make sure. Let me just do a quick test. This might be the right one. Test one. No, it's not there. Okay. Oh, also, I didn't hear anything because it's muted. Let's turn that off. Sorry, 2 seconds. I think is it this? No, it's not that. Is it, let's go down here. Is it this? That's it. Got it. Found it. Okay. And I'll verify that by saying test 2. There we go. Got sound and got graphics. We are good in case anybody shows up right now. No, right now nobody has. So anyway, I use Copic pens. Great pens. But on the backs of the Magic cards, because of the coating they've got, it takes forever for them to dry. And it's so easy, if I'm not careful, to smudge the ink with my finger. And you know, even after it's dried, and I'm putting quotes around the word dried in when I say it, you can't see them, but I'm saying that. Even when they dry, it's still pretty easy to smudge them. So I have to do them. I have to do my cards, these cards slowly. And I haven't found a pen that's better. There are paint pens that people use. The problem with paint pens specifically, sorry, I'm trying to get this thing off my screen. The problem with paint pens is they tend to flood because a pen that's dispensing paint, the paint is all in the pen behind the tip. And so it's flowing through the tip, but it can just burst. Not burst like it's bursting, but it can blob. And I actually almost ruined a card that way. And so I'm really wary of using paint pens. And those are the ones that adhere the best to the cards. But I don't want to be, all the way at the end of the card, the last couple things, using a paint pen and then it blobs and ruins the card. Not just because I'll have to redo the card. That's one side, but that's not really my bigger problem. My bigger problem is if I did a really good job on it and I ruin it, it's just all that work is annihilated. So it's a tricky thing. I have to kind of check with some of the other Magic artists and see what they use, because I know some people use pencils, but I could do pencil sketches, but then I won't be able to do all the colors. Not me. I don't do colored pencil. Anyway, that's all to say that one of the reasons I didn't stream last night was because I was working. I had to lay in the first ink on those cards. And the other is I had the opportunity to see an individual who some of you may know. You may know the name. The name is Giancarlo Esposito. Now, often mispronounced as Esposito, but it is not actually supposed to be pronounced that way. He's very specific about that, and he's correct. The Italian pronunciation of the last name is Esposito. And you'd probably know him from, most people who are younger probably know him from Mandalorian, or most recently Captain America Brave New World. I saw him, because I'm older, years ago in movies like Do the Right Thing, Malcolm X, Harley Davidson and the Marlboro Man, which I guarantee is one of the movies that almost nobody brings up that he was in, but I liked that movie, and I liked his character in that movie. I liked all the characters in that movie, to be honest. And so I got the opportunity to see him speaking live as part of a Black History Month series. And I'm going to tell you, I've said this in a couple other places, I'll say it here again. If you ever have the opportunity to see this individual in person, you should. One of the better speakers in terms of a live speaking thing that wasn't just him promoting his movies or talking, it wasn't a lot about himself. It was more about creativity and the obstacles that people run into and how to overcome them. It's just a really, really wonderful experience to see him talk live, and I would recommend it to anybody. If you have the opportunity, as I said, if you ever have the chance, see him live, because he is a really, really fantastic speaker and very dynamic. He was up and walking around and talking. It was great. It was just a great experience. So that was the other reason, is I was there pretty late, so I did not have the opportunity to stream, because I did the card work before I left, so they could start drying. I actually just did a couple more lines just now before I started streaming, because I want to, I'm trying to, there are parts, it dries to a certain extent where I can do some of the detail work around it, so I was trying to do that, because, but I am going to let it now, I have to let it sit now, because I'm going to start putting in the base colors. And I wish I could actually stream that, but to do that, I would either need to do, I guess I could buy a GoPro, but I really don't want to. Or it would have to be something like the Meta Ray-Bans, but I'm not buying anything that's got Meta's name on it. So, and plus they don't record for that long. I think I've talked about this before. You can't. I know you can stream from them, but I can't imagine they go for long because the battery is going to run out. But if there was some kind of built-in camera for glasses that wasn't a Meta product, I'd at least be interested. But if it's a Meta product, I am absolutely not interested. So. Anyway, then I could actually do a stream where I was doing the card work, and you could see what's involved in that, which is, a lot of very specific, intricate, careful work, I'll say that. So, we're on our cybernetic head here, and I'm just trying to work some things out. Obviously, I've got some basic colors in here, which I kind of like, but I'm not sold on the lips being this particular purple. I don't know if this is the right color. Ooh, that might be better. That's a 60. Let's do a 65% adjustment on that. That I like better. I think the purple is too close. Well, let's see. Hold on. I say that, but let me check something. Let me go 65%. Well, that feels too much like the other colors. Oh, I guess it should be related. Maybe that color's okay. I can always change it. I'm gonna leave that for now. Yeah, I haven't come down one way or another on that yet. I don't remember if the ears were done the last stream or not. I don't think they were, but I can't remember. I think I'm gonna make some of these into cables. Sorry about the yawning. I really don't know where that comes from. This is color, right? Hold on. Where is that? What is that? Whoa, what? Oh, those are those. I know what that is. Okay, I know what it is. This is all color, so I need to join this all into a group so I know what it is. Group, please. Okay. And we'll call this colors. Not fullers. Fullers? Is that even a word? No, it's not. Colors. Jeez. All right, turn the colors off. Whoa, okay, well. Actually, you know what? Yeah, I can turn the colors off. Just turn the background back on. Do I even need this? Oh, yes, I do. I do need that. This is detail lines. Okay. So that's that. Let's go ahead and put another one there. Let's turn the assist on. Sorry about the yawning. I really don't understand where that's coming from. I really don't. Okay, that's too thick, so I gotta go drop this down to what? Like, no, I don't want to go down to 5. 5's too far down. I think 10 might be the size of these wires here. Maybe not. No, not quite. Interesting. I wonder what size those are. Or are they? Wait, let's see. Oh, sorry. I have to repair the pen. For some reason, the pen gets very... There we go. It gets very ornery about when it wants to unpair itself. That doesn't look like the same size. Oh, maybe it is the same size. Okay, then I guess we should... No, actually, 10's fine. 10's okay. We're on mirrored. Yes. Okay. Let's turn some of these neck things into actual cables. So, just do some simple kind of lines here. We'll just run these up. Kind of segment these as if it's braided cables of some kind. Okay, if I can... Actually, I may do cross-hatching. That's not a bad idea. That is not a bad idea. Okay. Ugh, God, these lines are terrible. Hold on, sorry. Yeesh. I don't know why my lines are so off. All right, better. Yeah, that was really... Jeez, they're really bad for a second there. It's like, uh-oh, is something going on? Am I having a problem? Okay, well, no, I'm just not getting even lines. I was going to say I feel fine. But yes, it was a really, really great discussion that he had. One of the things that really to me makes somebody who's doing a talk or an evening with type of thing is I pay attention to how much a speaker has to rely on the host or the moderator, whatever term you want to use for it. Because there are people who really just kind of answer the question and then stop, and then they're waiting for the moderator to prompt them to say more. And I'm not necessarily saying that's a bad way to do things, or that indicates the person isn't a good speaker, but it can be a sign, in my opinion, that the speaker doesn't really care about where they are and what they're talking about. They're kind of doing something because they're just being paid to be there, as opposed to somebody who's actually engaged and passionate and is really, trying to reach the audience. And I felt that Mr. Esposito was extremely engaged. I mean, he at one point, I want to say maybe 15 minutes into it or so, it was a little over an hour. I would say it's about 90 minutes, top to bottom discussion. And I want to say 15, 20 minute mark or so. I don't know offhand. I didn't take a note of it, but there was a point where he just stood up. And many of these things, the two people just sit there the whole time. Again, not saying that can't work. It can. But he kind of sprang up at one point, and he really just got very animated and you know, was talking to the audience, which was a lot of young people, a lot of students. And he was saying, you know, you have to go out and find what your creative drive is. You know, you have to follow your creative instincts, like just lots of stuff that I frankly agree with quite a bit. But he was standing and he was kind of walking around and he was, you know, like gesturing towards people, looking at people directly, talking about, you know, how you have to find the child within, and you have to struggle to not grow out of a sense of being able to play. He was talking about why play is important and how that keeps you going and keeps you creatively inspired and lets you engage with the world, and how important it is to find something that you actually enjoy doing and try to pursue that as your main thing in life and stuff like that. And he was just going and going and going, and the moderator really didn't have to say anything. And to me, that was the point where I knew that it went from being a interesting talk to being a great talk. That was really the thing that to me was kind of like, oh no, this isn't just somebody who's here to promote a film. This isn't just somebody who's here to, you know, answer the questions as quickly and basically as possible, to kind of watching the clock, getting through the time, you know, that type of thing. And I have gone to things where people are doing that. Luckily, not many, and not in a long time. I've been very fortunate that the last few things, I mean, I don't go to as many as I used to either. Post-pandemic, I just don't. I just don't go to stuff like I used to. I was actually, I remember I was talking to somebody about this, and I'm like, yeah, I really just don't go to these things anymore. You know, I just kind of lost the interest in it afterwards. I've really just become like a hermit. Actually, let me do these in a slanted way. There we go. As I think a lot of people did. I think the pandemic changed how a lot of people kind of engage with social anything. Not that I was ever the most social person to begin with. I just wasn't. I've never really had a grasp on a lot of the stuff that a lot of other people do, where they function well in social situations, and I typically do not. I really don't. You know, again, I think I'm going to find out what's involved in getting tested to see if I'm on the spectrum somewhere, because I'm almost certainly am. I just have to imagine I am. If I'm not, I will be shocked. Because there's just too many things that feel like, no, this is not how I should be reacting to this based on how other people are. Just little things like that. I've said this before too. They didn't test for this stuff when I was in school, when I was younger. They weren't looking for any of this. Anything that they saw as out of the norm was just, oh, you just need to pay attention. You just have an attention problem. And that's all they really thought of it. And there are people who do. I mean, I'm not gonna try to pin everything about how bad a student I was on, oh, I think I'm on the spectrum, so that's why I was a crappy student. No, I can't really do that. But I'm just very curious. And if they say, no, you're not, I'll be like, okay, I guess I'm not. But it just seems like I must be. So yeah, I don't go to a lot of these things anymore. I just don't. But this is somebody, I've heard him talk before. I've seen him in some other kind of things where he's been interviewed. And you can just kind of tell. There's people that you can tell are going to function very well, are made for these kind of, you know, because the idea of doing a talk like this is actually pretty tough if you think about it. You know, you're in a room and there's a bunch of other people and everybody's looking at you. And you have to be able to, I mean, I could never do it. You have to try to connect with them in a way where everybody feels like you're talking to them, even though, of course, the reality is you can't talk to them because you're in a room full of people. I mean, I didn't count how many people were there, but it was in a large, basically gymnasium space. It was a fairly large space, and while it was not full to capacity, I mean this was a arena for like basketball games and stuff, so you weren't going to fill it completely, but it was pretty full. I mean, there were probably, okay, if I had to guess, there might have been 300 people there. I could be wrong about that, but it felt like it was probably around that number. So a fairly decent amount of people. So this is a thing I think that that I feel like a lot of people don't have a proper appreciation for, is when you have to, you're trying to speak to a room of that size. And as I said, this was not a thing where it wasn't a Q&A from the audience or anything else. It was a moderator who had a set of questions. And so there again, you're not really responding to audience questions. And so you still have to make it where you're kind of speaking to a large audience and you're saying things that will function for most of the people there. And it was the last of a Black History Month series. So you have some idea of the people in the audience. You have some sense of what they're looking for you to say. And he has a mixed race background. He's half Italian, half Black, I believe, if I'm correct. I think that's it. I don't think it's and he was born and raised, I want to say, in the Netherlands. Hold on, I just want to make sure I'm getting this correct. I don't like to get things wrong. I mean, I know he's half Italian. I know that because I knew how to pronounce his last name, because it's pronounced as in the Italian style. My grandmother used to pronounce it that way. And then I remember my Italian teacher in high school was very specific about pronounce your name like this. Yes. So his mother was a Black opera singer, and his father was an Italian carpenter. So yes, it's very, very interesting. I got to talk to him for a few minutes, actually, which was great. I was not expecting that. But one of the things that was interesting is there's some, I mean, they're obviously we led very different lives, but there was these weird parallels to things in our lives that I was just really fascinated by. His father is from Naples in Italy. That's about 3 hours or so north of where my father was from. So both, geez, why is this curve not curving? I want it to curve. Okay, this thing's just fighting me now. Hold on a minute. I gotta curve it more, I guess. Just make it more exaggerated. There we go. So, both from southern Italy. My father was a carpenter, not by profession, although he certainly could have been, but absolutely had that ability. I don't. But he was, my father made the doors, not every single door, but many of the doors in our house, in the house that I grew up in, or one of the houses I grew up in. Actually, I don't know. I would have to ask my mother. I would guess that the first house that we lived in, he probably made some of the doors in there too. It wouldn't shock me. But made many picture frames in what I'll say was our second house. The second house I was aware of. My parents, lived in somewhere else before I was born. But the first house I lived in, I don't know if he made anything in there, but he probably did. But the second house, which is really the house I think of most often, the house that I remember living in the longest, he made many things in there. Many of the picture frames, like I said, doors, the mantle, the fireplace, all this stuff. My father was great at carpentry. I'm not. And so it was just interesting because his father was a carpenter as well. And I'm like, wow, there's these weird parallels. He and my father have the same first name. It's just interesting stuff. He grew up in the same city that I grew up in my grandmother had a house in Westchester County. He grew up in Westchester County. I believe he still lives there. I didn't specifically ask him that, but I think he does. So he was in the same place and I was not, that's not where my parents lived. But my grandmother had a house there, and because both my parents worked, I spent a lot of time with my grandmother in Westchester, in New York. And so it's just these things, and we were just starting to talk, and I was like, oh yeah, he's like, oh, okay, you know where this is? I'm like, oh, I know where that town is, yeah, and my dad had his shop here, and my mother worked here, and he knew all the towns that I was talking about, and it was just a really interesting thing to be able to talk to somebody like that, just like a normal guy too. There was nothing, there was no starstruck, anything like that. It was just like two people just chatting for a couple of minutes, before he had to go on and do his talk. And, yeah, it was, but like I said, outside of that, terrific speaker, just really, really commanded the room in a way that's really impressive. Because like I said, I don't think people really have an appreciation. You know, there are many, many examples where you'll see, if you go to a conversation or a discussion or an evening with, and it's two people sitting there and they're kind of just, you know, there's question and answer going back and forth, and that's kind of what it is, and that's all it is. But this was not that, because like I said, there was a point where he kind of sprang up out of his chair, and that's when I thought, oh wow, this is going to get interesting now. And it did, because he was really very, very specifically, you know, addressing the people in the room and saying, you know, you're going to run into, because again, it was a Black History event. Many of the people in the audience were Black, and he was saying, you're going to run into things where you're going to think, okay, you know what, I'm not going to make it because this is how I look, or this is how somebody sees me, and I'm just, that's going to close that door to me. And he said, you can't be that way. You have to just understand and believe in your ability to get past that. And you will. Because, and he said, this is what my life experience was. There was a point where I realized that, you know, and I'm speaking for him, obviously, but there was a point where he realized that certain doors were not being open to him because of how he looked, and, you know, and he went through that. He said, no, you get to a point where you have to just keep believing in yourself. You have to keep going. And then he was talking about the importance of creativity and not allowing being an adult to destroy your sense of kind of childlike wonder and play, which I think is such a great message, because we do that. We get older and we start to think that there's certain, we have to act a certain way. And don't get me wrong, you shouldn't, you know, be a complete uncontrollable jerk or anything like that. That part of childhood you should outgrow, but the idea of you still want to be able to kind of have that sense of wonder and experimentation, and just times where you want to be completely creative and free, and that's really important. And I agree, it is really important. I think it's something that we lose so easily, so quickly, partially because most kids, not all, I certainly was like this, go through a period where you don't have a lot of responsibility. You're not paying bills. You know, you're living rent-free in your parents' house in many cases. And so you don't, you know, then once all that stuff goes away, once you are paying bills, once you aren't living rent-free anymore, it can be very easy to lose anything that isn't directly tied to making money, paying rent, eating, you know, having electricity, that type of thing. And it can be very easy to kind of lose the fact that, you know, you still have to retain. I gotta put another line here. Realized I want another one of these. Is that this? Yes. It can be so easy to lose that sense of play, is what he called it. And I think that's exactly what you should call it. You know, it's one of the reasons I really like doing these Bob Ross paintings, even though I'm not a particularly good painter. Boy, I ruined one this weekend, let me tell you. I put way too much liquid clear on the painting, and it bled, and it just almost melted the painting. Not literally melted, but the paint was running, which explains why I was having some trouble with it. I didn't realize I put on too much liquid clear, and boy, I sure did. So, yeah, that painting's going to get redone again, but hey, whatever. But that's one of the reasons I really try to do the painting, is because I think it is important. And that was one of the points he was making. And I think it's a point that is worth making, is you can't lose that kind of creative impulse. It's just, I maxed my layers. Yeah, I figured that was going to happen soon. Well, let's take a look here. Honestly, at this point, I can go ahead and merge that down. Here we are. What is this? Oh, that's those lines. Okay. What are these lines? Or let me turn the colors off. Let me turn all the colors off so I can more clearly see what I've got going on here. All right. So these. You know what? This can merge down. That's okay. What is this? Oh, that's that line. Okay. That does not go. Actually, yes, that does go with that line. That is that. So we can merge that down. You know what? this, we're going to put up with this one. I like this being together like this. These are smaller lines. Okay, there we go. Those small lines and those small lines. We'll leave those separate. But this and this can combine. Good. The visor at this point is pretty much locked in. What is that? Whoa, did it say layer empty? Oh, well then you're gone. I gotta get... Okay, that stays. That stays. That's part of that. Okay. Okay, well... This can join with that. That's the outer of that, so that can do that. Okay, perfect. That bought me some layers. So yeah, it was great. It was great. It was a great talk. Like I said, if you ever have the opportunity to see him live, I would absolutely say try to see him live if you can. Yeah, I know it's a hidden layer. I'm just trying to see if it's empty. What is this? Oh, it's a sketch layer. Okay, well, that sketch layer doesn't need to be there. That sketch layer, now that I've drawn that, can go way down here. There we are. Yeah, let's put this down. Let's go ahead and merge that down. Did I just make them invisible? Bet I did. It's one thing, the merge, if they're turned off, invisible, it just basically erases them, which I don't really love. I wish there was a warning about that came up, but that's okay. I remembered it. I checked it. It's fine. So yes, like I said, you got a chance to see him in person. Great speaker. Great speaker. Very, very glad I went to that. Almost didn't. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to go to this thing. And it was fantastic. It really was. So I'm happy that I ended up going. Good. Yeah, so that's the other reason I did not stream yesterday, is because I was at that until pretty late. There was no way I was going to start streaming. I was tired. I don't do late nights much anymore. I'm past the age where late nights are a fun thing anymore. Now they're more of a drag. Oh, yeah, let's get that fixed. I was thinking about that the other day. I'm like, yeah, you know what? That's one thing about getting older is you're like, yeah, late nights aren't as fun anymore. Not to mention, me staying up past 11 is a minor miracle at this point. I just start falling asleep. I did stay up pretty late. I was tired, but I was kind of energized by his talk, so it did take me a little while to go to sleep, but I wouldn't have streamed or anything. I wouldn't have had the energy for that. But it was one of those things where, when somebody does a talk like that, I've had a couple like that in my life, where I get out of it, I'm like, oh man, that's great, yeah, I'm gonna do stuff. You're just driven to do everything in that moment, and then it fades off. But it is really neat to have that kind of creative energy pumped into you. Adobe Max does that for me too. Whenever I go to Adobe Max, which I am planning to go again this year, I just feel like energized. Like suddenly I want to just do every kind of artwork there is. And I think that's good too. Because that's the kind of thing where you're around people who are all creative, and it's such a blast to be around people like that. People who are just purely creative. I'm gonna sip water really quick here. Give me a minute. So often life is not anti-creative, but so much of our lives ends up focused on things that are not. Yeah, again, I don't want to say anti-creative, but it doesn't encourage it. Again, that sense of play. The idea that, you might not be doing something constructive. Oh, my thing froze. Let me free this up. So hold on a minute. Let me do that. And weird. So it tried to come back? Huh. That's interesting. Let's see if that works. It should. And there we go. Fixed it. It's weird that it got hung up like that so specifically, but it's okay. Hasn't done it much anymore. 35 minutes, it's pretty good. But yes, so like I said, so much of our lives is work related, and most people's work is not really creatively based. It's mostly, I don't know what the word would be for it, data entry type stuff, or very light things that are either very lightweight in terms of creativity or not creative at all. And I don't think that that's good. I think it's beneficial. I've said this before. I think creativity is beneficial for you for a lot of reasons. In whatever way you can be creative. I mean, it doesn't have to be artwork. It can be whatever. But something where you're kind of just, even like freestyle association drawing, where you're just kind of drawing something that isn't really anything. Just seeing what comes out of your head. It's not a bad thing. Not a bad thing. Let's see. What do I want this cable color to be? I don't know if I want to go. Actually, I'm going to try a color that I wouldn't normally associate. Maybe like an orange like this. I'm just going to do this. I can always shift it anyway. Those bands will not be the same color. I will put a different color on those. But I'm just playing around with colors right now. Because I want a lot of these neck muscles to all be different colors. They don't necessarily have to be drastically different. I can do different shades of red, which I probably will for some of the bigger muscles. So because I still want it to kind of remind you of musculature, which you can do with color, even with the shape, on top of the shapes being what they are. And like I said, this kind of teal gray is the skin color. So let's go ahead and do this, and let's put another layer here, but we're going to put it under. Let's assist that. Let's do some red, but we're going to go ahead and pull some of the saturation out, but not too much. Punch it down because it's supposed to be like a background color, so let's grab that. There we are. We'll just fill all this in. Like I said, this is just place. Wait, did I hit that? Yes, I did. Good. Oh, I didn't realize I did that. Hold on. This should be underneath this, like that. There we go. Because this is background stuff. This is supposed to be under the skin, technically. Whoa, what? Oh, whoops. Hold on. Okay, I see what I did there. This goes under here. There we are. Go to that layer. Okay, now I'm on the right layer. Yeah. Oh, there's my dog. It's not time yet. My dog wants her food. So I will be taking a brief break to feed her, but it's not quite time yet. She's always jumping the gun. There's a few minutes left, madam. We don't starve you in this house, despite what you'd like people to think if they were to look at your face when it gets close to mealtime. To look at the way she stares at us, you'd think we hadn't fed her in weeks. Definitely not the case. Yeah, nice try though. But yeah, I'll take a very brief intermission. It will not take long. I've done that before, just a couple minutes. Feed the little beauty we've got here. Huh. Yeah, you still have a few minutes. I'm not going to feed you too early. I don't want you to get in the habit of thinking that you can just stare at us to get food early. Believe me, she already thinks that. She does. And it has worked. I have to confess, it has worked in the past. It's not going to work tonight. Don't try it tonight. It's not going to happen. You're going to wait for 7 more minutes. Because, yes, it takes a minute for me to get the food into the bowl. So, you will be fine for the next 7 minutes. I promise. You'll make it. But, yeah, that's one of the reasons I say, find something creative, whatever it is, and do it. Again, it doesn't have to be artwork. It doesn't have to be anything complicated. It can literally just be, I don't know, there's so many different things. There's so many different things that people find to be interested in. Like scrapbooking. I haven't done paper mache in forever, but there's something. Or you get these, now they make these really, really easy little I mean, Legos, if you really want to go completely abstract and just make things out of Legos. I know people who do that. I can't do that. I can't just make something out of Legos. I know people who can. I know people who can just make buildings out of Legos. They just think about it and they just make it, and there it is. I can do that. But they make these, they obviously have, okay, let's behind that. Model kits and stuff like these papercraft model kits, that type of thing. That stuff's neat. That counts. Like I said, it doesn't have to be a particular thing. Ooh, that's a good color right there. Let's go with 45 on that. I don't know if I want to go saturation down or up. I think I'm going to leave it at that. I think I'm going to go down on that for now. I'm going to use that same color because we're in the same thing here. I'm going to put these into that color for now. These will likely change, but for now, I'm just trying to... Oh, that's okay. I'll fix that. I'm just trying to kind of get ideas in here on how I want this stuff to look. There's still going to be a lot of detail line work that has to come into this, I'm pretty sure. Pretty sure. But for now, that goes over that, yeah. This is just so that I've got some stuff in place. Just so I can get some colors in here. Just like I said, I want it to start kind of... I want this image to start kind of separating itself out and feeling a little bit more than just flat lines. So, and that might kind of start leading me into where I want to do some of the line work. I'm just curious what I'm going to do in some of these areas. And I will be adding some shading stuff in here too. Yeah, good. So that's, see that? And that reminds you, or at least it should, I hope, reminds you of muscles. So this is good. This is kind of where I wanted this to be. So we'll just put some more in here, because that's really what it is. All these lines are based on muscles. So I want the coloring to make you think of that, because that's what it is. Yeah. And then we'll do some into here too. Yeah. And then I may do something like decorative paint lines. I don't know how else to say it. I have to figure that out though. I'm not 100% on that yet. But yeah, that's good. I like that. Okay. And then let's do the bright red. These may change. This is for the moment. This is what I'm doing. This stuff may change. Actually, you know what? No. No. I want this to be... I'm going to take this color. Let's stack another one. Assist it. Let's put that color there. Let's back that color down. Yeah, to 40. We'll drain a bit of the saturation out. Yeah, I want this to look... I want this to be more like this and not be a muscle separation thing. Yeah, I like that better. I want there to be another layer of this kind of gray teal in here for certain areas. Like that. Probably, let's put that same color right here. And right here. Like the back of the ear thing, whatever this is. Let's get that there. I'll need something even darker for that. I may just black that part out right there. Okay. You know what? Maybe I'm gonna put that. Wait. Let me look at this. Let's put that here too. Let's darken this up. I like that being darkened out. Those parts up there, I don't know what I'm gonna do with yet. Let me just see. You know what? Let's do that. Let's do that in here too. Let's darken this out to kind of knock that out of there. Oh, hold on. There we go. That's okay. That's okay. That's okay. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, no, I like that. That's good. Okay, so now... let's grab this color. Let's go up to here. Assist. That there. Let's go ahead. We're going to brighten that way up. I'm going to pull that saturation back down again. Maybe brighten even. No, not quite that much. Let's go to 60%. Let's take that, and then let's do this. And that's going to be what's up here. That'll probably get segmented. As you can see, it's segmented already, but I might do another color there. I don't know that yet. That's what I thought. Okay, let's get that in there. Oh, and then it's going to be time to feed the dog. So, which is fine because we're right at about 45 minutes. So, yeah, I'll aim for an hour tonight. So I'm going to take all right, I'm going to leave that there. Here, zoom it in a little bit for you. So that's where we currently are. Let me turn that background color off just so you can see it in the abstract. I'm going to feed my dog very quickly. So I'm going to just mute this. I'll leave the image there. There's no reason you can't just look at that and kind of see there. There you go. Yeah. So I'm just going to mute myself for a minute and go feed my dog, and I'll be back in less than 5 minutes. Right back. And we're back. Okay. Oh, you know, I just got my hand, washing my hand off. I'm just going to dry it because otherwise it will stick to the iPad screen, basically. Okay. Sorry. Oh, sorry. Didn't mean to clap that close to the mic. All right. So, yeah. So let's go ahead and fill in this. Yeah, see, my finger is like, it's sticking to the, all right, let me use the pencil. It's just easier. Why did the, oh, there it is. Okay. Let's just use the pencil because my finger has just enough friction right now that's making it annoying to try to use the color with the pencil. I usually just finger paint in this stuff to begin with. So, okay. Wait, it's still, yeah, good. Just making sure that I actually unmuted the mic and just didn't think I unmuted the mic. So, yeah. Yep. So we're just blocking this in. I don't know if these are going to be permanent colors. They may not. I may adjust them. But for now, it's useful just to kind of start to see where things are separating and get a look at it. And then, whoa, wow. Oh, it's behind that. Oh, okay. That'll work. So I can do this. There we are. This is on mirror. Yes, it is. Good, good, good. Okay. Gotta be a little careful there. So maybe we'll stick with this. Because that is going to be tough to fix. All right. There we go. So, okay. So we have our colors in, more or less. So I'm just looking at a couple things here. See what I want to do where. I think... Well, you know what? I think I'm going to go ahead and put that same color in here. Just like I said, I just want to have some colors around, get an idea of what looks good where. And then I'm going to mess with some things. I'll probably do some... I mean, I'm going to do some form of shading to it, but right now, this is just really to kind of pop out some of the... Because this is a 2D image, but I want to give it some idea of, okay, there's dark places and different spots on the skin, or where skin or muscle or whatever you want to call it is exposed, and that's what this is going to do. That's what this is. I shouldn't say do. That's what this is. And let's do that. Just color that in. Okay. Well, the outside of the ears are not going to be that color. I think I'll make the outside of the ears this color. So let's go to that layer, which is this one. Let's grab that smaller brush, please. And let's go ahead and color that in there. Here we go. My dog has finished her meal. I can hear that she's moving around. So I'm sure she's delighted. The absolute best parts of the day are when my wife and I get home and mealtime. Like most dogs. I shouldn't... Well, she just burped in the other room. I'm very happy you didn't have to hear that. Oh, dogs. Dogs are something else. They really are. They really are. Weird little creatures. Hey, Chill Mode, how you doing? Happy Tuesday. It is Tuesday. Happy Tuesday. Nice to see you. Welcome to the stream. Not much left of it yet. Maybe 10 minutes. Yeah, probably about 10 minutes left or so. But nonetheless, thank you for coming by and saying hello. Hope that you are doing well. Just been sitting here rambling about... Oh, I don't even remember at this point, like usual. Who knows? Something. Okay. Here we go. Oh, I do need to get those. Let's make those. Let's make the bands on those. Like a deep gray. Hello, Wendy Nolan. Welcome to the stream. Happy Tuesday to you. Yeah, I'm going to make it this color. Let's use this color for those bands. Where is that? That is down here in the colors. Is that that color? No. No. Yes, that's the one. Probably need the pen for that because these are thin. So, yeah, let's get that in there. Ooh, wait a minute. You know what? It just occurred to me. No, it should be fine. It should be fine. I'm not going to worry too much. Oh, I have to put these on a different thing. Hold on. I don't know if there's any particular purpose to this. I just felt like drawing another cybernetic kind of head and neck. So I don't know what this is going to end up being. It's probably going to have some kind of background before it's done. I don't think it's just going to be the head. I will probably draw some kind of almost a wafer full of chips or something behind it. You know, the round wafer before the chips. Oh, and maybe you don't know it. basically, if you don't know, most times when, depending on what chip you're talking about, most chips are made in these large scale wafers that I would say are probably about the size of a dinner plate. And I'll just draw really quick because I actually used to work in a chip factory where we made these things. But essentially what microchips or transistors and all this type of stuff, generally many of them are, okay, hold on, I need to use a better brush. And also have it be where you can actually, see it. Basically they come on a wafer, literally just a round circle like that. And then on the wafer, you have all these, now obviously they'd be straight lines, not what I'm doing here, so, a little bit of artistic license here. And each of those squares would be a chip. However many per wafer, it just depends. So what happens is all these get made at once. The process is they all get made. And then they come in with like a laser cutter and they cut them individually out and test them individually. And the interesting part is these wafers, hold on, let me show you. I don't know if anybody cares about this, but this is just something I never really get to talk about very much. The wafers themselves, at least in the plant that I worked in, there would be a case, this plastic case that would look kind of like this. Little thing on the bottom. I'm drawing this obviously very sloppily. Little handle on the top that you carried it around with, right? Yeah, exactly. Yes, exactly. And in the case, you would have, ours had 20, I'm not drawing 25, but you would have all these wafers in these slotted containers. And so literally the most fearful thing you did in this plant that I worked in is there would be points where you would have to open the case, which would open like this. So you take, not erase it, but you would take this top part off, and then the actual, this thing here, you would actually grab it and take it out, and you'd have to place it on certain machines. But the thing is, if you hit something or tripped or whatever, all these wafers would come out. They'd all just hit the floor. And even if they didn't seem to break, even if nothing appeared to be wrong with them, you could not use them. You would just have to scrap them. And in many cases, that set of wafers could be $60,000 or $70,000 worth of chips. So let me tell you, you got real careful real quick with those things because you did not want to be the person who broke them. And I saw it happen, and I think I worked there for about 3 years. And at the time I worked there, I'm pretty sure I only saw it happen. I don't even know if I saw it happen twice. That might be the most I ever saw it happen was twice. I know for sure it happened once when I was there. And oh man, the person who did it had a look on their face. Just, you didn't really get in trouble. It's just something that can happen. You didn't really, it's not like you get fired or anything, but you didn't want to do that because you understood that you just cost the company this much money and time because now you still had to fulfill the orders, so you still had to have the chips. Let me see it. Come here. That's my dog with a toy. So it was one of those things where, like I said, I know that it happened. I don't think I was actually there when it happened the second time because I don't remember it. I remember the first time because the sound, it was a very specific noise when these things, because when this person dropped that cartridge, they broke. Not all of them, but and they make this very specific sound. Plus, you have to be really careful cleaning them up because there's toxic chemicals that get, like toxic dust comes out of them. A lot of the machines, in fact, are filled with highly, highly toxic chemicals, like something called TIAS and things like that. So when this thing broke, basically they had to clear everybody out, and they brought in. It's kind of like when you break one of those overhead bulbs, like a fluorescent bulb. You're not supposed to breathe it because it's got mercury in it, so you have to be very careful not to just use like a standard vacuum to clean it up because you don't want to be inhaling that stuff. It was a similar thing. Oh yeah, it was a whole mess. Like I said, I I did feel bad for that person because nobody wants to. Why am I not seeing that? Did I put this on the wrong layer? Did I screw this up somehow? Hold on. I think I did. Yeah, I did. This is the wrong thing. I did it on here. You know, nobody's well, I shouldn't say nobody. I'm sure that at some point there was somebody who got angry about, you know, not getting a raise or whatever and intentionally destroyed some. But in general, you were trying to be very careful. But like I said, you were wearing, by the way, in that plant, we wore full body, what they call bunny suits. So it's basically a Tyvek suit, Tyvek's the company. It's a full body suit and a mask and everything. And the only thing that's actually exposed, gloves, the whole thing, boots, the only thing that's exposed is your eyes. Everything else is covered. And so, yeah, so, you know, you can, those boots and stuff, it's very easy. You have to walk carefully. But like anything, when you go in, day out, you sort of just become a little bit, not even lazy, you just become used to things. And you don't really think about, oh, okay, well, let's say somebody moved a ladder or something and you bump into it and you're carrying that thing and it goes down. That's it. Because like I said, you cannot use those. As soon as those, they don't even like them being out of that carrier for very long. You know, really, you're only supposed to take them out if there's something you have to check specifically. It was rare. It was rare that you would see those things opened up unless they were doing like spot checking or they thought that there was a problem with the process or something like that. So you didn't see it a lot. So you were careful with it no matter what because you didn't ever really open them. The machines would all take them out and do the processing automatically. You put them on this machine, it would open it up on computerized arms and everything. So you didn't often see them, and you were really careful with it. So when one broke, it was, you know, everybody knew it. It was something. I do remember that though, because I don't know how it happened. I didn't actually see it happen. I only saw it after it was broken because they basically, you know, they walled off. They're all aisles. These are aisles of machines. So it's a big building, and there's these aisles, almost like a supermarket aisles, where all the big machines, like the things that are they're doing the etching and all that type of stuff on it, those are all in aisles. And so I just remember seeing the aisle get sealed off because they had to bring in this machine that was like a sealed vacuum, and it was a vacuum attached to like an overhead special ventilation system that would house toxic materials. So it was like a sealed system. So they would come in and they would attach this hose to it, and then that's how they would clean it. So they had a way of doing it, but yeah, you didn't see it very often. And you didn't want to see it very often because if that happens too many times, then you're going to have people that you don't want walking around inspecting things, like walking in and saying, what's going on in here? You know, that's you don't want those people showing up. So I do remember that the thing that I remember about that job most specifically. Yes, exactly. Yes, exactly. But I do remember we had a safety briefing at one point because there were lots of like pressurized giant, like I said, toxic chemical canisters and stuff in there. And at one point they were talking about, okay, here's what you do if certain conditions would indicate a leak of certain things. So all this different stuff that you could do. And then at one point, somebody who was newer, like me, because I never even heard this brought up, but somebody who was like a newer employee said, well, what happens if there's a fire? You know, where are we supposed to exit for a fire? And one of the maintenance guys who'd worked there for a long time basically said, and I don't think he was supposed to say this, but he did. He said, if there's a fire, you might as well just, you know, say goodbye to everything, because by the time you would be able to get far enough away with all the chemicals and all the pressurized stuff, he's like, you're never going to get out. If there's an actual fire, try to get under something and hope that you survive the explosion, because there's just so, I mean, obviously that was not the official company line, but he said there's so many pressurized everything in here, you're never going to make it out. You're not going to beat a fire. And I was like, oh, that's comforting. But you know, there was never a fire when I was there. It was fine. But that is one of those things where it's like, yeah, don't bother. You're not going to make it out. There's a fire in here. You're finished. So, yeah. It was an interesting job for many, many reasons, and that was just one of them. there was a fire, you weren't getting out. You were not going to escape. No escape. I worked for auto dealerships for years. Yeah. Well, let's put it this way. I mean, if there had ever been a fire, would I have attempted to get out? Yes, I would have. I think it would have been. But I did, after that meeting, I kind of did look around. And yeah, because of the stuff that was being used, the building was essentially completely surrounded by all of these storage tanks full of all this stuff that was being piped in. So I kind of understood what he was saying, was that, yeah, you would have to, I'm not saying nobody could escape it, but you would have to know about the fire right away. The fire would have to be slowly moving, and you'd have to be awfully fast. And I never in my life have been all that fast. So if that ever had happened, I doubt I would have made it out. But fortunately, they also, because of that, and because you lose the whole plant, they were very on top of fire prevention in general. There was just really almost no condition where that would happen unless something really tremendously went wrong. So I was never all that concerned about it. But yeah. And on that note, everybody, on that happy note, I think it's time for me to bring this stream to a close because it's been over an hour and my iPad is heating up. So let's kick on the Be Right Back screen. Whoop. Oh, I keep forgetting that covers up the social stream thing. I'm going to put that above that. There we go. Just not that you can really see it, but just so you don't have to not see your stuff. So thank you for hanging out and being here while I work on this cybernetic head thing. I may do another stream this week. We'll see. I think I might. I don't know for sure, but I want to do at least one this week because, like I said, I missed yesterday. So thank you for being here and hanging out. And thanks, Jomo. Thanks for stopping in. Nice to see you. I like when people just stop in, even if you don't make every stream. I understand not everybody can. Just people stop in and say hello for 5 minutes. I appreciate it. So thank you, everybody, for being here. Go do something creative if you can. It's good for you. And go support creators that you enjoy. I'm not talking about me. I'm talking about other people because there's lots of creators out there who are trying to make a living at what they create. And it's very easy to just assume they're always going to be there, and they may not be. So if you can do something, whether it's money, just appreciation of their work, resharing their stuff, whatever you can do for creators, try to take a couple minutes to do it because I guarantee you they will appreciate it tremendously. On that note, again, thanks for hanging out. Hope you all have a wonderful week if I don't stream again. And until